Welcome to the beautiful city of Athens, the gateway to the Tennessee Valley, a city rooted in deep community relationships and built on a rich tradition of small local business and the very best of the human spirit. As Athens embraces the future, the signs of progress are in full bloom. Join us as we discover the bright spots in this charming southern city that we call home. This is Hometown Heartbeat, Athens. What's going on, everybody?
Hey,
how's it going today? I got my... Dang, I hate when I do that.
What's up?
I meant to do that.
Oh, your bed music?
Whoop, whoop! What's going on? It is Thursday.
Yep, it's Thursday.
It's Thursday, hot dog. Nailed it.
Almost payday.
Oh, well, yeah. Thank you,
Not for us.
PPP. But no, I'm kidding. No, let's be real. That doesn't help most people. Only Harvard and big companies. So today, we are not going to talk about immigration, amongst other things we're not going to talk about. But before we talk about anything, we're going to say hello to Connor. Connor, how are you today, buddy?
Doing good. Stuck here at home. Doesn't feel like Thursday. Feels like Thursday was 2 days ago.
Connor, I can't imagine what it feels like, to be honest with you.
I was talking to my mom, and she thought it was Friday. Or she thought it was Thursday last week when it was actually Friday. They're just losing track of the days. People at
Well,
home.
thank God we're coming out of this thing, and it's time to start boogieing on past it and right on into the economy, bumping and thumping, baby. Okay, so we're going to start with a video of our latest flip. So we just finished a property over on Market Street. 1500 West Market is the address. It is now live on the MLS, and we are going to go ahead and throw that up. Connor, go ahead, and I'm going to kind of stick with you and commentate, do some color commentary. Here it is right here. So we bought this house out of foreclosure. See, this is where we're gonna get the echo loop. Yep, perfect. So basically, this house was a purity gut job. I put out some pictures on Facebook of some befores and afters. But this house we bought. Man, it was in bad shape. It took us quite a while, but we gutted it. New HVAC, new plumbing, new everything. There's a wall. There was 4 walls in that room right there. So we went in and completely, and that's actually a gas fireplace. There's a mistake on the video. So in case you're curious, or if that was a selling feature, don't worry. Gas it is. But huge kitchen island, big wide open kitchen, farm sink. It's really a cool house. It is on the market now, and so if you are looking to buy a home, go ahead and buy that one. It's the house that you've always wanted. It's the house that you've always needed. And it can be yours for the low price. But $229,995. All right, Connor, go ahead and pull that down. That's enough. We don't have to show them everything, but just wanted to kind of walk through that a little bit. And so we're going to jump into some stuff today that we had planned for yesterday before we went off the rails. I seem to think
style.
I thought it was one of our best shows ever. That wasn't a sentiment shared by.
It was a great conversation.
Well, I thought it was eye-opening to say the least.
But it shows how our conversations usually go. We you and I just go down these rabbit holes.
Oh, you talk about hey, welcome to my life. Bro, and she's just like her mom in a lot of ways, in all the good ways, but no, it's look. So we have a bunch of stuff that we printed out to talk about. Since we got the house on the market yesterday, I did want to talk through the housing statistics for March, because right now everyone's saying, "Oh my gosh, COVID-19's killing the housing market." No, it's not. Sorry, I was getting a little scratchy there. So I want to talk through the Limestone County numbers alone. We could go, I've got all the other numbers, but Limestone County is really what applies to us and the properties we're flipping. And so some of these numbers are crazy, but essentially, the average house sale is up. The median is up to 242. The average is up to 256. That's up from 212 last year. So we've gained 30,000 in value. on the house prices, on the price per square foot and all that. The average days on the market is jumping down pretty quickly into the 40s. And then here's the crazy one, the inventory for sale. March of last year, there were 370 houses on the market. This year in March, we have 287 houses on the market. So almost 100 homes less available in this time. And that's kind of the whole part of that's what's keeping this whole thing cranking. The demand's high, inventory's low, so prices.
It's going to get even higher because Blue Origin is building their facility here, and you don't know how many jobs.
Raise your hand if you know what Blue Origin is. I do.
There's like hundreds of job openings that you can be applying to right now.
The rocket ships.
That I'm sure all those people now will need somewhere to live. So
why not live in a cotton roof flip?
Right, and it's a great location. It's where Blue Origin is. It's off of University, so it'd only be like 15 minutes from here.
Cotton Row flip.
What's
all
that
right,
called?
so
Explorer Boulevard.
I don't know anything about that area. But you should apply for a job there if you need a job. Blue Origin. You heard it here first. Yeah. All right, so I pulled an article about this Payroll Protection Program. We talked about it a little bit. But they've now, in theory, agreed to an additional $400-something billion, $300-something billion of which, and so I have my own concerns with that in and of itself, because the more you print, the less it's worth. But that's neither here nor there. And we could jump into Social Security and how we fund a lot of this and how our debt is managed and organized as a country. But that would make you scream if you're looking to get your Social Security back out anytime in the near future. It's called a double-blind Ponzi scheme. They put people in jail for it, unless you're in the government. But that's neither here nor there. And so we have been talking through this PPP. We've experienced it. We've walked through the process. Yep. Nightmare, disaster, fumble rooski.
The bank doesn't even know.
The bank, literally, we asked them today. They're like, we're going to approve you for the smallest amount that's ever been approved ever in your entire life because clearly you can't substantiate everything. And it's like, well, no, we can. They're like, well, we don't like the way that's written. It's in the wrong font. It's in the wrong font. It's not going to do it. And so we went through that process. We got the approval for the $6.47, and then we were like, so how do we make sure that this thing gets forgiven? What'd they say?
What do you need? What paperwork?
Let's wait. What'd they say? I'll wait.
They said, we're not sure yet. Check back in June and consult your CPA, and maybe they'll be able to tell you. So let me tell you, the CPA is not going to know.
So take this money that we've set aside for you, that we've said is going to be forgiven if you do X, Y, and Z, and then maybe, if your accountant knows what to do, in June, after you take this, then you'll find out if you actually owe us back.
Because somehow the CPA would know something the bank itself doesn't know, the one forgiving us.
Yeah, this whole thing is crazy. Brenda Fedorsen joining. What's up, family? Kinfolk. That's my kinfolk out there. How are you guys? Miss you guys. Hope you're doing well. I've told Tyler we need to get together. Sorry, little personal jab in there. But, all right, so this Payroll Protection Program, look at this. We got pages of graphs and all kinds of stuff.
I stapled mine.
See, she's smart. And so she actually read it. I didn't. Tell us a little bit, because I get the concept. But essentially 13 days into this program, and the money's gone. I mean, the money's gone, and we're seeing now that a tremendous amount of that money went to large corporations, and there's some really interesting stuff in here. So let's go to our current events or whatever portion of this. We've had a company called Burger whatever
Shake Shack.
They've returned how much?
They said they're going to return $10 million.
They're going to return $10 million. Why?
Because they say they don't need it anymore.
That's right. They don't need it. Why? Because they're a publicly traded company with access to market capital. Yeah. That's how it works. And so
I can give you the quote.
Yep, hit me.
Quote, Shake Shack was fortunate last Friday to be able to access the additional capital we needed to ensure our long-term stability through an equity transaction in the public market. The CEO
equity transaction. Do you know what that means?
Garuti and chairman said in an
Do you know what an equity transaction is?
Please
all right, so a publicly traded company can convert equity to cash, basically, right? So their equity, their ownership is in the stock market. They can buy, sell, they can whatever. This all that goes along with the stock buybacks and all the stuff you've been hearing about.
Like ownership,
more or less.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so to oversimplify it, rather, they can basically convert what they own to cash, by no longer owning it. Right. So they're transacting it and then converting it. And so basically what the SBA is saying is, if you have access to a public market capital, then you don't qualify for this loan, because you need to You need to sell your shares to get your money. Like, you have money.
Right.
Your money is just tied up in the stock market, and so you need to convert that to cash as opposed to taking money out of my pocket and your pocket and Keith's pocket, because that's exactly what happened. And that's, I mean, and it doesn't get any more simple than that. Like, that's not an oversimplification. It literally, now, did they get the money that we would have gotten directly? I'm not saying the dollar bill serial number was the dollar bill that would have come to our bank account. Obviously, it's all digital. That would be foolish. But you've got Harvard. You've got Ruth's Chris. So they did find this. Let me find the story on Ruth's Chris while we talk about Harvard. Harvard has a endowment of. Did you look that up? It's like 200 something million. Give or don't quote me on that number, but they have a humongous endowment, and they ended up taking 10 million, I think.
40 billion endowment.
I missed that by a couple, I don't know, B's. Billion, 40 billion.
Yes.
First of all, who endows anything for $40 billion? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. How could you you could never, I mean.
They're saying they're using it to help with student assistance.
Oh, of course.
You know,
I bet if my son decides to go to Harvard, it's probably going to be cheap because they have so much money.
I would doubt that.
Bingo. That's my point. They are going to charge the ever-loving snot out of me. And so it goes back to this whole thing and the bigger process, the bigger concept of it, you know, as we and one thing, I'll just be honest with you, one thing we struggle with on this show is like, this is Hometown Heartbeat. This is us talking about how it impacts us in our hometown, in our small town, and how it impacts you in small town. It's not necessarily a show about Athens, Alabama. It's a show about hometowns and the feeling that you have with hometown, small business. You know the barber, you know everyone knows your name and that kind of a thing. And so we do we get off into these big discussions about this type of stuff, and then we never bring it back to the hometown. And so what we're trying to focus on as we get better at this is always circling that back and not just talking about Harvard. Harvard has no impact on you, except for it does. And it does in this way. Large companies across the country have taken money from this program that either shouldn't have or didn't truly qualify under the guidelines that the SBA put out. Now, the guidelines they put out were a bit ambiguous at first because this entire program was very ambiguous at best. That's the best. That's the nicest way to say this, was ambiguous at first. Okay. And so originally it said 500 employees, but it also had some things about market capitalization. If you had access to that, you could. And so there's some things out there, and you've got companies like Ruth Chris, schools like Harvard, the Shake Shack or the Sugar Shack or whatever the heck it's called. Shack, yeah. Right. And these people are going out and they're qualifying for these humongous sums of money.
20 million.
Amongst
Ruth
the three of
Chris.
them. Ruth Chris was 20. Yeah. How much did the Shake Shack get? 10?
Yeah.
Okay, and then and Harvard got another 10, give or take. So let's just call it 40. Okay, so 40 million was allocated to three people who neither needed it nor should have qualified for it. The original loan amount that we asked for wouldn't have been 1/100th of that number. That means that there were hundreds of small businesses that could have received funds here in our town that didn't, because the sugary Shake Shack or whatever the heck it's called decided they wanted to take the money from you. And here's the crazier part about it. And here's what should upset you to the umpteenth. I mean, just make you madder than snot. Okay. The banks prioritize those loans because there's more money to be made. There's more money. There's a class action lawsuit going out right now against. I'm going to look it up before I say it because I don't want to say a name of a bank for the 1.5 people that are watching that would, I don't want to drag their name through the mud. Oops. Sorry, my hands get a little crazy.
You're dragging my computer through the mud.
Well, I might. I don't want to drag their names through the mud, but I mean, again, this whole thing is like this is supposed to be. I mean, when I heard about this in my mind. And someone comment right now. Comment and somebody tell me what you think, because I just want to make sure I was not in the minority here. I thought small business payroll protection program. She's got a burp. She went like that.
Bank of America.
Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo, yeah.
Boom, nailed it. So the big three, as it were. But anyways, when I heard the PPP, what did you think about the payroll protection program for small business through the Small Business Association? I thought about businesses like mine.
Right.
I thought about businesses that were community focused, were small, started here. And I mean,
like a one building franchise.
Yeah,
not a franchise.
Well, even a franchise.
Okay.
And let me address that I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Let me address that for a moment because that's really important to me. The franchise concept. Everybody's like, well, let's go support our small businesses, but heaven forbid we go to Chick-fil-A. That's a big company. And it's like, don't forget that behind every franchise is a small business owner that staked everything they had to open that franchise in our small town. And so while the company may be large, they don't have the support of the finances of the large company. You've got someone like you, someone like me, who saved up a whole bunch of money. In fact, my family looked at opening a Chick-fil-A back in 2007. And because I'd worked there all through high school, and we looked at opening that because my mom and dad wanted to do it. They wanted to give it to me one day. They wanted that to be our thing. And it was like $150,000 in liquid assets. I mean, you had to have some things to qualify because you have to pay for this yourself. You got to bankroll this process. And so common misconception that I just want to undress real fast is the Chick-fil-A owners here in Athens are small business owners just like I am.
Yeah.
Now they've got a line wrapped around the building a couple days a week, and that's awesome for them. And I wish we had a line wrapped around our building, although it'd make it quite awkward. But and so that's not what we're talking about. Just to get that out in the open, clear that air, like that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the large corporations at the corporate level who came in and sucked up the money away from Joe Bullock joining us right now. Pixel Joe's Photography. He's the one that filmed that video you just saw. Okay. I wrote him a check yesterday. That's a small business. That's two small businesses transacting in the marketplace. One's got a service, one's got a need. And those are the type of people I thought this was set aside for. Right. Come to find out, it's not the case at all. It's not the case at all. The money went to Harvard. Raise your hand if you thought Harvard was a small business. I'll wait. Still waiting. Nobody in their right mind would have ever in a million years said Harvard is a small business.
No, I don't think.
How does that happen? How does that happen?
Maybe 100 years ago, whenever it started, when they probably had like
probably
5
before
students.
They got $40 billion worth of endowments.
Yeah,
for starters.
Yeah, no, because I was listening to that podcast I told you about, Business Wars, and it was about Jeff Bezos, the most recent season.
Bezos, but close.
Bezos. Okay, regardless of how you say his name.
I love doing that.
It started just with him and
in his garage.
And he actually had to get a loan from his parents. It was like $30,000 to start the company. And first he was just selling books, and he had to hire these people to not only run the website and process the orders, but also package the orders. So the people were not leaving. They were just, taking a nap 1 or 2 hours in their car and then coming back in and working the night shift to pack all of the packages. So to send all the books, right?
No, that's exactly right.
And then they had to go to war with Barnes & Noble and Walmart, which
Whooped
were big
them.
at the time. Amazon, which was called Cadabra. It wasn't called Amazon.
That was the worst decision Jeff has ever made his entire life.
No, but it's
I call him Jeffy, by the way. He's a friend of mine.
If this were to happen back in 1998, maybe Amazon or Cadabra would have
qualified.
Qualified or been justified to have this. But today,
if Amazon would have gotten a loan, I would have never mind. I can't say what I would have done, but it would have been bad. So here on our local news, Governor Ivey says 28,000 Payroll Protection Program loans were issued in Alabama. Okay. So that, I'd like to also know how many. Again, this goes back to the coronavirus. It goes back to statistics in general. I have a resident science genius sitting here with me, and she can tell you all kinds of things about how statistics can be skewed. Numbers can always be manipulated to bingo. Yep. You can paint a picture with numbers that is not accurate, true, or scientific. So, and again, we're not diving into this in terms of like the corona and, I had a heart attack and they're putting you on the death toll for the corona, which is happening all over the place because funding is being tied to. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, like, let's talk numbers across the board. 28,000 paycheck. That's the headline. How many small businesses are in Alabama? Well, it's not anywhere to be found in this article. Why? Because we want to make sure we show it as every small business that needed a loan got a loan. And it's just like this whole thing is being twisted and turned, and it's, I don't know. I just want I want some transparency in this. Like, that's all I want. I'm a big boy. I put my pants on the same way every day, just like everybody else does. I take disappointment just like just as bad as everybody else does. And so I can deal with not getting what I need or want or what I've been promised even.
Right.
What I can't deal with is lying and a lack of transparency. And right now, I feel like I'm being lied to. I feel like every time I turn around, a politician standing on a stage somewhere with a microphone, I don't care, both sides, all sides, every side, and they're sitting there saying, "This is for you, small business owner." And then I'm like, great, let me get on that.
Well, it was really weird.
And then there's nothing there. And I saw a comment pop up, but I couldn't read it, Connor, and I don't see it on my thing here. Let me pull you up. Connor, what was that comment?
It's for whatever reason the text is set to black. I'm trying to figure out how to fix it, but it was from Joe Bullock. He says, and I quote, "It's all a bunch of crap. The SBA loan went up from $10,000 and it went to $1,000 per employee."
So Joe is talking about, there it is. It just popped up. So Joe is talking about the EIDL loan, which is a SBA program, emergency.
It's different than the PPP.
It is different than the PPP. But what that loan program promised was up to $10,000 per employee, and then very quickly and very what's the word? Cloak and dagger-y, if that's a thing. They took that and they pulled that out from underneath you and changed it to $1,000. Okay, probably through oversubscription, which is something that is, I understand that, right? Oh, you oversubscribe a loan, or it's like you double book a seat. Well, you can't both sit in the seat unless somebody wants to sit in somebody's lap, and I'm too big for that. That's not going to happen. And so, Joe, I don't disagree with you. However, I bet Harvard didn't think the PPP was crap.
Right.
Because they got that money, dog. I'm just saying, like, it's not. Yes, Joe, you're right. It is a bunch of bubkus, but it's the hand we've been dealt. We talk about this all the time. Idealism is great, and we all have it, and we all wish we could change the world. The reality is, we are stuck in a system that we're forced to work within.
Right.
So how do we work within that system to create and actually make a difference and create change? And to that, I don't know the answer. I had no control over the old PPPPP.
Well, when I was talking to
I had a joke there. I let it go.
No, I'm not going to go there. A banker that's not associated with the bank that's giving us our money. So when I talk about...
Well, let's be cautious about saying giving us our money. They're giving us a portion of our tax money back to help us from going out of business.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
They commented before we decided not to go with them, but they said that bankers are being egged in the face, essentially, with this PPP loan, and that they foresee throughout this whole process they will continue to be egged in the face and left out in the cold by the government, because they are concerned that when they do give the money to us, that theoretically in June, when they're supposed to forgive the loan,
then who's going to pay the bank?
Yeah, who's going to be paid? So they were hesitant to even... That bank was hesitant to even start.
Well, they had
a
board meeting. They had an emergency board meeting that evening because I had heard about that happening. That to even decide whether or not they were going to
they did
participate.
But I don't know if they ever got the answer to that question of how they're going to get paid
back.
I doubt it, because they don't even have the answers.
Let's ask another question. Let's ask another question, and I'm going to wait for a response, and we'll do it by show of hands. Okay, somebody who's had a positive experience with the government saying they were going to do something and then following through with it. I'll wait. Thank you. And so the whole point of that is, again, this is not a partisan thing. This is not a political part. This is when you look at the government trying to take control of something that the private sector always does it better. Why? Because the way that
they can profit off of it.
Bingo. And so if the market is allowed to choose, capitalism inherently is the greatest thing that's ever. Now, greed can happen in every form, in every fashion, all of that. But as far as the best system on the face of the planet that's been created to create jobs, to foster innovation, it's capitalism. And so capitalism in and of itself, if you let the private sector do it, then the market's going to choose. And guess what? If you don't do it well, you're not going to have any clients. If you don't have any clients, you're not going to make any money. If you can't make any money, you can't pay your bills. If you can't pay your bills, womp, 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 womp. I think I have nope, not that one. Nope, that's not that one either. I have one over here. I was going to go, womp, womp, womp. But the reality is, I get it. They had to roll this thing out in like 3 days. They had to build a website and a portal and all that. And props, mad props. But if the execution of the program was doo-doo, the program in and of itself is inherently doo-doo. And there's nothing you can do to change that. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know what to do with it. I know that it, I've never asked the government for help in my life. And the one time I have, I've been slapped in the face. And so at the end of the day, I'm just like, meh, whatever. Like it is what it is. We are okay without it. We're going to, like, if it was a matter of us being able to make it, we'd be I'd probably have a whole different feeling on this, right? Mm-hmm. But the fact that we're here and we're just like, I don't know, Molly. I don't know what to do with it. Who do I need to slap?
This article is hilarious because it's like,
should I slap somebody?
No. Again, we talked about this yesterday. You have one less employee, -1 employees. Remember?
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. I take it back.
This article was giving people suggestions or businesses suggestions if they couldn't get PPP. It said you could crowdsource.
Oh yeah, because everybody's jumping on
credit. For next year.
Don't even get me started on that.
This time next year, you'll have that money. Trying to read the other ones that they said. Talk to family and friends. This is option of last resort. A loan from relatives or friends will typically come with less fine print and arrive in wallets faster.
Oh, wow. Talk to family and friends. Oh, Lorena. We're talking to family and friends. You got a loan you can throw over here with less strings. Seriously, like, what are these? It's crazy. It is crazy. Elizabeth Buchwald.
No, I know, but what?
Oh, I have no idea. It's probably The Onion, if I had to guess.
I don't even know.
Venture capital. Oh, that's a good idea. So let's go through these. Now I am very excited about this article. All right, here we go. Sorry, I've got to prepare myself for this. Okay, the options for small businesses that did not get funding from the PPP. Option number 1, venture capital funding. Unlike a loan, businesses that receive venture capital financing aren't typically responsible for paying it back. Instead, they've just sold their soul to the devil. Okay, so how does that work? How does venture capital funding work? So you take a piece of your company. It goes back to the market capitalization that we were talking about with the public companies, right? So if I'm a venture capital firm, I invest my capital for interest in startup businesses. So that you couldn't get the PPP money that was going to be forgiven, great. Here's an option for you. Give away 40, 50, 30, whatever percentage of your company that you've busted your tail to create to somebody who could care less about you and care only about profit. Now, is all venture capital that way? Absolutely not. We invest in businesses all the time. We love it. I wouldn't call myself venture capital because you'd have to have more than $4 to be venture capital. But that's option 1. Option 2, employee retention tax credit. PPP is definitely the largest program right now, but it's not the only option, said Jared Hecht, the co-founder of Fundera, a marketplace for small business loans. Oh, great. This guy owns the marketplace for small business loans. Let's listen to what he has to say. Come to my website and get my loan so I can charge you interest. That sounds great. State and local resources similar to the PPP. This ought to be good. In addition to federal funding programs, there are also state, city, and county resources that may be available. Said you can find, I'm sorry, what was his name again? It was Jared. So he said that you can find more information on coronavirus relief resources for your state here. I'm going to bet you if I click on that link, it goes to his website. Just saying. Fundera and other lenders continue to accept applications for PPP because they feel it's a matter of if, not when, more stimulus cash will be approved. We're encouraging small and medium businesses to make their voice heard. Said, and to contact their local representatives via phone, email, or social media. I've got an idea. Tweet your state representative and you should get some PPP money. That sounds great. This guy's an idiot.
I'm looking at his website.
I don't even want to know. I don't even talk about it. Okay. Option number 4, crowdsource funding. I fund women. Wow. Could have come up with a better name. Whoa. Ooh. Playing with fire there. Kate Anderson, the co-founder of I Fund Women. What?
No.
Well, you can't even say that without hashtag me too. I'm just saying.
It's owned by a woman.
I get that. No, I understand the concept. I'm just saying we could have come up with a better name.
I think
women.
I think you're overthinking it.
Nope, I don't think so. Anyways, they help women obtain the capital they need to launch or operate the business through crowdfunding and grants. The number of members tripled in March, and there are now over 108 members, including funders and entrepreneurs. Okay, so this isn't a bad idea. So this is essentially, and there's a bunch of these websites out there. It is a website where people like me and Keith would get on and say, we have capital that we want to invest in this segment of the market. We're a funder, right? We want to invest in fill in the blank. And then people then come, they play matchmaker. It's like Tinder for small business, except for you don't swipe right. You swipe the card. And so it's a great concept. I love it. But again, what we're talking about is like, you couldn't get access to your own tax money. So here are the next best options.
It's like one of those quick cash.
A turd is a turd. Doesn't matter. I mean, you can polish it. You can polish it. You could, yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. I did it once upon a time, in a long, long time ago, when I was broke as a joke. I took a title loan on a car that I'd been given. That was the worst idea. I paid that title loan off with 1,087% interest. It felt like, but literally, I literally paid double the amount of the loan and then some, and it's unbelievable. I mean, predatory lending at its best, but I was harder for the money. And so it's one of those lessons that, like, I don't, people that don't know me, like, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my butt, and I don't, and nothing that people that didn't, but I personally didn't. I had to figure out a way to make it happen. A lot of, you know why? Because I made bad decisions. I probably would have had a much different path if I wasn't an idiot, but I made bad decisions, and my parents decided, like, okay, you want to live that life, go be you. And I was like, I can do this. Next thing you know, I'm at a cash advance place trying to get a title loan on my car. And so, I mean, these are all lessons you learn. But again, it's the concept is the government said they had money for me, and they don't. And so now I'm polishing a turd trying to make it, and it's okay, here we go. The last, and here's the best one. The last one, number 5. Drum roll. Look to family and friends. Everybody's got a rich uncle, right? I mean, for the, what? You talking about in the time when nobody has money, everybody's trying. Hey, I tell you what, if we put all of our stimulus checks together, we could go buy a business because somebody's hard up.
Listen to this paragraph. Family and friends may be hesitant to dip into their own savings account at this time, especially with heightened uncertainty regarding the U.S. economy.
I don't even know what to say
right now. What's more, mixing business with friends and family can often lead to broken relationships. Experts
Don't do
say.
It. Don't do it.
Yeah, no.
Word of advice.
Why do they even suggest it then if they were going to say that?
Because they have. Okay. All right. Here we go. And then we're going to end the show for the day. But this is where I'm going to land on this. Why would they say that? Because they know our government failed us as small business owners. They know that the government and big business has been in the same bed for a long time. They make great bedfellows, right? I mean, that's government, all governments, also. Again, it goes back to, and again, both sides, left, right. It goes back to the Kennedy Center pet project that got thrown in on the first, on stimulus number 1, right? $25 million goes to the Kennedy Center to keep payroll, to keep their musicians employed. And then literally 2 weeks later, every musician in the Kennedy Center is laid off. So this is not about, none of this is about us as Americans. Let me just be very clear. And I hate to say that because your idealism I just crushed it. I just hurt your feelings. But you have to know the truth. The truth is, it's about power and money. And it always is. It always has been, and it always will be. And so you have to learn how to play within the system. Look, put yourself in a position where you don't need help. Nobody saw this coming.
Is that always an option, though?
It's not. But what is the other option? Because you can't ever, what I'm trying to say is you can't ever count on help. So you have to live as if you are the only thing you've got.
Yeah. Valid, yeah.
Yes, in this situation, we're just fortunate and blessed that we were able to make it and that we're going to be okay.
Right.
Now, our retail operation will look entirely different than it did when we started. Absolutely. Yeah. We've lost more money there than I can even count, okay? And so we'll call that what it is. We'll put that over here, and then we'll figure out a way to readjust, and we'll go back at it a different way. But for those who that wasn't an option, like again, 2 things. 1, your identity and who you are as a person is not tied up in who you are as a business person. Your identity is in Christ. Your identity is in the one that made you, the one that intimately placed every hair on your head, the one that created you from nothing and turned you into something. And so if this thing has killed your business, like I hate that. Honestly, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to understand. I don't know that I can help you. But I'm willing to bet I can come up with something to.
Right.
I'm the king of crazy ideas.
You're very inventive.
King of crazy ideas.
You're good at numbers. Do this.
Yeah, and so look, at the end of the day, like, I'd love to talk to you, but two, don't allow this to be the end of who you are. Don't let everything get wrapped up into your business. The death of your business, it's just another no on the way to yes. Like, that's in sales, that's how I was raised. Like, every no is one more no on the way to a yes. And so at this point for us, if this would have failed, it would have been catastrophic financially because of the amount of money that we have tied up. But and a lot of people are in that boat, and for that, like, there are structures in place in our law, in bankruptcy law, and all these other things that are out there to protect you if that's you. But outside of that, do not make this personal. This is not you. There's nothing you could do about this. There was no amount of planning that could have. Anyone that says, well, you should have had more money saved, well, slap them because they're stupid and they've never ran a small business. That's not how it works. We're all trying to make it Friday to Friday and just make it happen. And so, guys, I mean, I just want to encourage you, like, if this didn't happen, it didn't happen for us either. It didn't happen for us either. And so it's okay. It's okay. There's some other way for me to do this. The key of entrepreneurism, the key of being an entrepreneur is the ability to pivot.
Right. Yep.
It's the ability to, on a dime, turn and go a different direction, shift, and learn how to make money. And that's the lesson you ought to learn from this, is not, oh, man, we're out of business. Like, okay, what did I learn here? Well, don't do this again. Don't do that again. Maybe don't get into a business that's affected by crowds gathering, because the reality is those are businesses that's died.
Make sure your business is online. Yeah.
Woo! How about that? Zinger.
That's the biggest thing I'm realizing.
It is 3:48. We've been talking for longer than we should, which is normal
like
because
every day.
Yeah, it's a 30-minute.
Yesterday
it's a 30-minute
we talked for
57 minutes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well,
50, I didn't realize how much time went by.
All you have to do is bring up immigration, and here we go.
know.
We want to talk about it? Do you want to
We'll
talk
be
about
on
it?
here a whole nother hour.
You want to talk about it?
Bye,
Whoa!
guys.
Hey, listen, it is Thursday. We will talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow we have Thad Prater back in the booth. He had such a good time the first time around. He was mad that we didn't get to talk about anything fun.
Oh.
I mean, we got to talk about his softball team, which was
Okay,
great,
well,
and
good
he
thing
loves
he's
his
coming
girls.
back then.
But, like, he wanted to talk about some meat and potatoes, and I said,
Good.
Coach,
Okay.
co-host it is.
Yep.
So Zach and Thad in the afternoon tomorrow, your easy listening ride home from work. Oh, wait, you're quarantined at home. So in the meantime, we love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. It's been another afternoon of Hometown Heartbeat. Connor, take it away.